A wrongful arrest occurs when an officer either makes a material misrepresentation of the facts and evidence or manufactures or plants evidence, and that is relied upon by a court, a magistrate, or a jury, which results in a conviction. Okay? The most common misconception about these cases is that if a person is arrested and charged and then later acquitted, that they were wrongfully arrested, and that's not true. If there is probable cause to make an arrest, then the arrest is valid. Only if probable cause is garnered based on the bad acts of a police officer, or in some cases perhaps a prosecutor, then in that case they can bring a claim. Arrests are common, of course, but most of the time the officers making these arrests are doing so rightfully and dutifully. But again, because a lot of arrests either result in the dismissal of charges, perhaps probable cause hearings where the burden is not met, or they go to a jury trial and the prosecution is unable to meet their burden, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, and it results in a successful defense of the case, people believe that that is because they were wrongfully arrested. And so it's only wrongful if there's bad actions and conduct that lead to a person being charged and then convicted of a crime. I would say that a person who has been accused of committing a crime that did not commit that crime, where evidence was either planted or manufactured at some point and attributed to that person, or that statements were made by police officers about evidence in the case that were not true, that the officers knew were not true at the time that they made those statements, and those statements were relied upon by a judge and a jury that resulted in a conviction. In that case, a person would have a reasonable belief and probably be right that the arrest was false, it was wrongful, because the conduct of the department that led to the conviction was wrongful, was not within the standards that police officers are supposed to uphold. If someone is successful in a wrongful arrest case, or we call it a false arrest case, they are entitled to certain damages. Those damages include the non-economic damages, the physical and emotional pain and suffering associated with the arrest, the conviction, the incarceration, the time spent in jail. They're also entitled to recover their attorney fees, the amount of money that they've spent trying to defend themselves. And in some cases, some extreme cases, they may be even entitled to punitive damages, damages that are meant to punish the officer, punish the department, and deter bad police behavior. No, we handle all cases on a contingency fee. If someone has been wrongfully arrested and we take their case and prove that the arrest was false and there was no probable cause and that there were bad police work or malicious police work that results in a verdict or a settlement, they would only pay us if we're successful in winning money for their case. I would say the most challenging aspect is obtaining evidence that can prove that your client has been falsely arrested. You see, all the evidence is kept under the watchful eye of the police officers that you're bringing the claim against. They have every probably motive and opportunity to deep six or tank evidence that could be exculpatory of your client. In other words, that would show that your client didn't commit the crime. And so because they're the watchful eye and they're the gatekeeper for all of the evidence, I think the most challenging thing is getting to the evidence and being able to use it against the department and the officers who have falsely accused and charged and sometimes convicted your client. I handled a case once for a young man who was accused of murder. And the case was tried twice in Detroit, and on both occasions there was a hung jury. The case came back for trial the third time, and before the trial started, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, got involved. And the lead witness for the prosecution was given a lie detector, a polygraph, on her statement, and she failed. They brought that to the attention of the trial judge, and the case was dismissed. As it turns out, this lead witness was coerced into making a statement against my client that was not true, that resulted in him being arrested, accused, and standing trial nearly 3 times. That case we settled for a confidential amount because we were able to prove that this person, this witness, was coerced into a statement that resulted in my client spending nearly 2.5 years in jail.